Everybody, welcome back. These are the horror movies that we loved of 1943. You're watching Yesteryear, and today I'm Tony. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, leave them below. If you haven't already, click subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's get started now. These are the horror movies that we loved of 1943. First up, we have is Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, fantasy, horror, and sci-fi. The resurrected Wolfman, seeking a cure for his malady, enlists the aid of a mad scientist who claims he would not only rid the Wolfman of his nocturnal metamorphosis, but also revive the monster. Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, true classic. Ghosts on the Loose, featuring the Bowery Boys, East Side Kids. The East Side Kids try to fix up a house for newlyweds, but find the place next door haunted by mysterious men. Ghosts on the Loose. The East Side Kids, Bowery Boys are the best. I love them. They were all around the 40s. Check them out. Phantom of the Opera. Drama, horror, and musical. An acid-scarred composer rises from the Paris sewers to boost his favorite opera understudy's career. Phantom of the Opera. This is a true gem. A true classic. I highly recommend Phantom of the Opera. The Return of the Vampire. When an errant bomb unearths the coffin of a vampire during the London Blitz, a gravedigger unknowingly reanimates the monster by removing the stake from his heart. The Return of the Vampire. Drama and horror. Very good movie. Next we have Son of Dracula. Drama, fantasy, and horror. When Catherine, a beautiful southern girl obsessed with thoughts of eternal life, invites Count Alucard, Dracula spelled backwards, to come to her mansion in the U.S., she unleashes a Pandora's box of horror. The Spider Woman. Mystery, thriller, and horror. Sherlock Holmes investigates a series of so-called pajama suicides. He knows the female villain behind them is as cunning as Moriarty and as venomous as a spider. The Spider Woman. Next up we have is The Ghost and the Guest. Comedy, drama, fantasy, and horror. A newlywed couple winds up spending their honeymoon night in an old, dark, spooky mansion. The Ghost and the Guest. This movie will not disappoint. If you want to laugh and be scared, The Ghost and the Guest will deliver. Calling Dr. Death. Calling Dr. Death. A doctor is not sure if he murdered his beautiful but wicked wife, and he has his attractive nurse to try to find the truth by hypnotizing him. Film noir, horror, and mystery. Calling Dr. Death. Calling Dr. Death. Captive Wild Woman. An insane scientist doing experimentation and glandular research becomes obsessed with transforming a female gorilla into a human. Captive Wild Woman. Horror and sci-fi. What these writers were thinking of back in 1943 is beyond me. Dead Men Walk. Drama and horror. The twin of a kindly small-town physician returns from the grave for vengeance against his brother, who secretly killed him because the twin served Satan. Dead Men Walk. This is a very good movie. Check it out. Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. A man of mystery known as only Dr. Terror recounts 7 stories from his casebook of personal encounters with evil and the supernatural. Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. Check it out if you want to be scared and spooked. I like it. Next up we have is I Walked with a Zombie. Drama, fantasy, and horror. A nurse is hired to care for the wife of a sugar plantation owner who has been acting strangely on a Caribbean island. I Walked with a Zombie. Check it out if you want to be spooked. Next up we have is Lady of Burlesque. Comedy, music, mystery, and horror. After one member of their group is murdered, the performers at a burlesque house must work together to find out who the killer is before he strikes again. Lady of Burlesque will not disappoint. Check it out. Next up we have is Carnival of Sinners, fantasy and horror. Roland Brissot bought for a nickel a talisman that gives him love, fame, and wealth. The talisman is cursed. So what happens next is anyone's guess. Carnival of Sinners. The Mad Ghoul. Baby Ghoul. Horror, music, and sci-fi. A university chemistry professor experiments with an ancient Mayan gas on a medical student, turning the would-be surgeon into a murdering ghoul. The Mad Ghoul will not disappoint. Check it out. Revenge of the Zombies. Look at that. They're coming up with zombie movies back in 1943. Scott Warrington and his hired detective Larry Adams arrive at an old mansion in the middle of a Louisiana swamp to meet his brother-in-law shortly after the death of a madman. Revenge of the Zombies will not disappoint. The Seventh Victim. Drama, horror, and mystery. A woman in search of her missing sister uncovers a satanic cult in New York's Greenwich Village and finds that they could have something to do with her siblings' random disappearances. The Seventh Victim. The Leopard Man. Film noir, horror, and thriller. A seemingly tame leopard used for a publicity stunt escapes and kills a young girl, spreading panic throughout a sleepy New Mexico town. The Leopard Man. Next up we have is The Mysterious Doctor. The citizens of a tiny Cornish village are tormented during World War II by a headless ghost, which is haunting the local tin mine. Horror, mystery, and thriller. The Mysterious Doctor. And lastly we have The Ape Man. The Ape Man. Drama, horror, and sci-fi. A crazed scientist accidentally turns himself into half ape, half human, and scrambles to find a cure. So he messed up. He was playing too many with experiments, and now he's like screwed. The Ape Man. Alright, those are the horror films that we loved of 1943. Those were the horror movies of 1943. Let me know your thoughts. Were there any movies that you didn't see? Any movies that you may have seen of 1943 that I missed? Let me know below. Alright, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, leave them below. If you haven't already, click subscribe, hit the notification bell. You're watching Yesteryear and Today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you all in the next video.